The workshop will contain, all right, so we're going to go through, ultimately, is good practice on match days. Covering all the bullet points on there. If you just have a little look through 3 stages before the match day, during the match day, and after the match day. So a couple of bits before that is your sort of coaching and your playing philosophy. So are you clear? Sort of just these are just questions just to consider yourself. Are you clear on how you want your team to play, and are the players? It might depend on what sort of age they're at. Like I said, if we're looking at senior football. Typically non-league, it might be a little bit more direct. There are teams that try and play, all right, but at the younger ages, are the players aware of how you want them to play? Do you want to get it back to front as quickly as possible, or are you happy for them to stay on the ball, try and play it round the back, whatever that might be? Do you know what your club stands for? So if you're looking at sort of, equal game time, rotating positions, do they stream, don't they stream, do they want to win at all costs? Hopefully that sort of filters down the club as well with what what they stand for, their sort of DNA. Does it remain the same for training and games is a big one. So how you coach, if in training, is it very nicey, lots of well dones, go and express yourself, be risky on the ball. If we concede a goal, don't worry about it. But then you get to a game time on a Sunday, and then that changes to fear of failure, risk of losing the ball, get it away from our goal quick, just clearing it, pressure. It's just trying to keep a constant theme throughout. Obviously, we don't want to be like that in training as well, but if we're coaching the right way and our coaching behaviours are great in training, again, it does change on the game day because everyone's a little bit more anxious, a little bit more excited, the adrenaline's going. But it's important to remember we're still role models for the children and keep a constant theme throughout. Then a big one, winning versus development. So this will come up a few times in the workshop, and let's not get away from winning is really important. Everything we do, we want to win. I coach every day in schools, and if I'm playing a head tennis game or whatever it might be, I still want to win. But do we try to win in a way that hinders the player development? Because then that's where, that's the wrong way to do it. Again, I'll touch on a little bit later on. I've got some scenarios from friends of mine that coach in non-league senior level where it is win at all costs. You have to win. But in youth football, we're not going to get sacked if we lose 2-0, trying to keep the ball and try and let the players make mistakes. So that's how they're going to learn. Meet times, it might be pre-knowledge of venues. We've had a couple of games recently where we've got the AstroTurf for an hour. So it's almost, right, we're going to do a quick arrival activity and then get straight into games. For me, in my opinion, we've had under 7s, under 8s, under 9s. We've got it for an hour. I'd rather play 4 12-minute quarters with a little break than warm up for 15, 20 minutes. But that's just knowing pre-knowledge of what we're going to do. Again, people said about people being late. We've had we had a game, I think it was last Tuesday, where we had 2 no-shows. So it does happen right throughout the board. I'm sure you've all had it. And then again, even last Thursday, we had a lad that turned up late into the first quarter and we just had to shuffle things around a little bit. Again, I'll show you what I do for planning on a match day to sort of not deal with that, but have a plan in place. Looking at, like I said, if the parents are on board and they know why you're doing it, then it's positive all the way around. Again, like I said earlier, if they're not adhering to what you want by shouting and screaming, get rid of it, that's a conversation to have with them, and it comes back to relationships. I think if that keeps occurring, for me, it's a lack of respect towards the coach. You warn them a couple of times, and then it would go to club welfare officers, secretaries, whatever it might be. Letting the parents know what success is and why, and it will vary for every player and every team. Okay, so they might just be starting out. So we've just started an under-10s team up at Flackwell. I'd like to think the parents know the success is them playing games, enjoying it, coming off happy, and the game being competitive. That's all I would want and them to learn some stuff. Slightly different away from that is a little development centre that I run through the business on a Friday night. We've got some really, really good players in there. Whereas, again, I want them to come off the pitch, having been challenged, having fun. Okay, but my tone and the way I'm with them will be slightly different to the girls. And I like to think the parents are on board with that as well. We'll stay on the chat, actually. So I've just put down there, it's probably about 10, 12 sort of bullet points of coaches' jobs on a match day. Anything else that might not be on that list that we as coaches have to do? And these are the sort of jobs that I'm thinking that we can maybe delegate out to some parents. Is there anything else that you currently have to do? It might be opening up and locking up and stuff like that. I'm sure there's a few that I have missed. Organise a ref, mark the pitches. Goal and match notes, yeah, good one. Again, that might be one for the parents, paying the ref. Checking boots and shin pads. Again, with the refs, I know, some clubs are fortunate; they have someone that sort of does it for them. Some clubs don't. Anything else on there? No, perfect. Okay, so again, looking at them, they're the sort of jobs and the roles, 3 or 4 that you just mentioned, that we might maybe not paying the ref. I don't think the parents would be too happy about paying their ref, but they're the sort of things that we can delegate out. And honestly, from experience, it just makes it so much easier. We'll give some examples later on, but that's what I use. I'm sure you've got other ways that you do it. I know there's some apps out there now, but that's all I do, and it's there for the players to see. They know when they're playing where. And I've just found it works for me. Are the players physically and mentally ready to play? All right, so sometimes I hear it a lot as well. We start slow in games, and on the courses that we run, teams start slow. It might be down to our little arrival game or warm up, whatever we're doing. Again, I'm going to show you an example of what if I had the time, a good 15, 20 minutes, what I would do for my teams. Is there visuals for the players? Okay, is there whiteboards? Have you got a whiteboard that you can show 15 minutes, then they're going straight into a game? No wonder they're going to start slow. Whereas if you do find your players starting slow, I promise you, give this a try, because they're basically playing a game. Even straight from the start, it's attack, be defence. They're trying to get past the red. Then the balls come in. As at the bottom of part 2, they can progress onto 2v2s with 2 footballs and then play 4v4 to finish. Lastly, a little attack v defence game. So you've got the 3 yellow coned goals on the halfway line, and you're playing a 4v3 or 4v4 once your goalkeeper's in goal. As it says there, they've got 5 lives. So again, promoting the Blues, not just to smash it out of play. So having target goals is so important for that. When we do some of the live workshops, which we've got up and coming across the county, or if any of you have seen me deliver before, you'll know there'll always be a target for the defenders rather than just kick it out. Because in a game, you don't want them to do that. You want them to get into good habits of winning the ball and having a target. So if the Blues win the ball in this practice, they can pass or dribble through into a yellow gate. And as a coach, we're trying to watch everything. We're trying to commentate on everything. And then it all dies down, and the players come off at the end of that quarter or that half, and we're like, I can't really remember too much from that. Or are you focusing on your challenges you set at the start? Like we said about players staying on the ball and being brave on the ball. You might highlight who has done that, and praise them. Or is it, like we said earlier, we're being compact in midfield. Have we done that? Has there been success? Well, we lost it a couple of times, and our 2 wide players took a little while to get back in, so they cut through the middle of us. So, that might be a point where you're focusing on your specific challenges rather than just flicking around. Some people call it butterfly coaching, where you just sort of flick around on loads of different things. Or is it, you're trying to nail 1 or 2 things that's really going to consolidate with the players. If you're 2-1 up with 2 minutes to go, and like I said, winning is important. We do want to win. sometimes in the foundations phase is not the most important thing. Okay, it's just us to start realising things about ourselves. If you come away from the workshop having that, amazing. For me, that's job done. Second coach we just spoke about, or subs, can they look at your match objectives? And do you try to win at the cost of your philosophy or your beliefs or your coaching behaviours? You know, so we're going to go direct and just smash it because we want results. You know, we're not going to play the 4 weaker players today because we just want to win. Again, just questions just to ask yourself. And hopefully, if it is the case, we can try and change that mindset, not just tonight, but ongoing support that we've got coming up over the next year or so. Have a little read through. So, as you noticed on the slide I put up there, important that Alfie's playing for a grassroots under-10 team. If it was senior football and it was me, again, I wouldn't be very happy because I played 10 minutes, but I wanted to win, especially towards the later stage of my playing days, just wanted to win. But for an under-10, you know, he's lost in the first one, in my opinion, because he's played 10 minutes. His team's won, but he's played 10 minutes. In the bottom one, he's a winner because he's had loads of touches of the ball. His opponent's skillful and has tested him. Loads of decisions to make. He's played the majority of the game. You know, kids are not going to get better if they're not playing. No emphasis on winning. You know, like I said, we do want to win, but it's not the most important thing. Be competitive and it's challenging. All right, because if it's competitive and they change, that's when we learn the most, and you'll end up winning more matches. You know, if winning is the be all and end all, all right, it is like Richard, it's working hard and stuff like that. But that will come if it's in the right environment. For me, again, if the players enjoyed it, has there been equal game time? Have they rotated positions a little bit, which again we'll touch on in more depth in a minute. Minimum 70% game time for all players in the academy system, and they've got no fixed positions. So sometimes I think when this comes out of a pro club and they're doing it at the top level with the best players in the country, we should definitely be doing it with grassroots. And I know and I appreciate our sort of differentiation in between our players will be a lot bigger than it will at academy level, so they can put players on, there won't be much difference. But at the same time, it's how we deal with it as coaches. Rest as well as the players. Your players will get better. That's a fact. They'll start taking bits on board that you're doing. Make sure we get better with them, whether that's through CPD or experience, coaching more, trying new ideas, reading. Mistakes will happen. As coaches, we'll make mistakes. They'll make mistakes. It's fine. 2 or 3 voices will send mixed messages to the players. So if there's 3 of us on the sideline all shouting bits and bobs on. Spoke about success. And take away that fear of failure around competitive match environments. Okay, it's great to be nervous. I think there's a research paper saying how it keeps you on the edge. But if you're tense and abrupt and building it up to be this big World Cup fun, your players won't play the best. Senior football might be different. That's knowing your players. Some players need that. Some players don't. Some players need even more in the modern era. You know, even I think when I first started playing at 17, 18, it was quite ruthless. Whereas now, as I come to the end of my career, I would speak differently to 16, 17, 18-year-olds I was playing with to what I got spoke to. And it's just knowing your players. And said it loads of times tonight, don't sacrifice player development for winning in young players. They need to be playing. Okay, they need to be able to have no fear of failure.